Hey, it's Callan from Authentic Lifestyle Design, and today I want to talk to you about financial independence and building your life. Really, I want to discuss that you don't need as much money as you think to live the life you want to live. Like, for example, when you ask someone, oh, how much is it to live your dream life? They smash out these huge numbers. Like, they're like, oh, I'd have to be a millionaire, I'd have to make, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in order to live my ideal life because so many people are such consumerists. They want a massive house and they want nice cars and things that I talked about in the minimalism video, and they've been conditioned for that, and been conditioned that in order to be successful, you've got to have a bunch of really expensive stuff, right? And if you can debunk that idea, and if you can let that idea no longer serve you, then all of a sudden you have a tremendous amount of freedom. So I've made an example for you here as far as finances, as to how your goals probably heaps more achievable than you actually think it is, right? And how, like I said last time, if you can live on a smaller amount of income, you can live a way more comfortable life. Like, if your threshold to happiness is lower, then getting to that threshold is going to be easier. And ideally, that's very useful. So, here's my example today. And it's good because this is my personal example. This is what I'm building now. And it's sort of next year I should more or less have this. Okay. I mean, this year I do have this, but I am in a 9 to 5 regular sort of job, which I'm not as into being into maybe next year. So we'll see. So I do meet this metric, right? Financially, I do meet it. But the way I make my money and the things I'm doing and the environment around me, the place I live and the relationships aren't where they need to be. So next year it's balancing all of those things again, right? Okay. First thing is housing. And the cost per year I've got here is $9,776 a year, which seems really cheap, right, for a house. And it is. I'll show you how in a second. Which is $815 a month. This is my personal metric. And again, minimalism, living cheaply. I'm not buying a mansion, none of that. If I jump across to this tab, you can see that it's 570k, right? That's how much I'm borrowing. Now, per month, with a 3% interest, that would be $2,444 a month, which is $29,328 a year. But I'm planning on buying a 3 or 4 bedroom home this year, ideally, and renting out 2 bedrooms. So therefore, that's 2/3 of the expenses being paid covered, right? Which is $1,629 a month. Or, if you look at it the other way, it is $19,552 per year, right? Maybe a touch less than that, but you get the idea, right? And that's to have roommates or tenants living with me. Now, the total, if I did that, would be $815 a month that I'm paying, which is $9,776 a year. So even though it's 29 grand being paid, I have tenants in that house that are helping to pay the mortgage, which is reducing that. Because again, minimalism. I don't need a whole 3, 4 bedroom house to myself. That's pointless. What am I going to do with all that extra space? So therefore, I might as well rent it out to people. So that's my housing, right? Then I've got food and essentials. Say on average, I spend about $500 a month on food, which, going through my bank statement, seems about accurate. It's a little bit less actually, but we'll just say it's $500 a month. And then you're looking at 6 grand a year. So I'm looking at 6,000 a year on food. Education, and a lot of people don't do this one, but I do. My budget, I guess, for education, for a while, I guessed about 5 grand a year that I'm willing to pay on educating myself, bettering myself in that area, which is $417 a month, right? Next one I've got is travel, which is a big one. That's $12,167 a year, which is $1,014 a month. Now, the reason travel's so big, because this plan actually equates me to spend 4 months a year traveling. So That's the idea. 4 months a year of travel. And that 4 months, I estimated at about $100 a day, which really, it depends where I am in the world. If I'm somewhere expensive, $100 a day would get me along. But there's parts of the world where $100 a day you'd be living like a king. So, if I went to parts of Southeast Asia, like I went to Cambodia, it'd be way less than that, maybe $50 a day. So again, this is an estimate, and it's a high estimate, right? It'd actually be cheaper than what I've got here, but this is a high estimate. This is catering for like worst case scenario type stuff. Okay, next one I got is fun, which is 10 grand a year. And that's everything from going out, having fun, going to festivals, going to events, going to seminars, just whatever else it is I want to do that is for the sole purpose of fun. Or if I want to travel, if I want to go, say, Disneyland, for example, or I want to go somewhere nice, that's sort of my fun budget. It'd be about that $10,000 is what I'd estimate I'd ideally spend, which is $833 a month. Then transport, I've got about $10,000 a year. So I don't drive a car, so that's Ubers, trains, buses, flights when I go places to travel, and whatever else. I'm just estimating. Total, that'd be about $10,000 a year. And then the last one I've got is other. Now, other could be, various bills, various insurances, whatever else I need if I need to fix something on the house. And again, it's an estimate. And I'd plan on having a separate account of rainy day money for these things. But let's say that that's 5 grand a year, right? Which is $417 a month. Now, total, that would be $57,943 after tax, or $4,829 a month. Now, that there is essentially, at the moment, my dream life. If I had that, then, and I could travel 4 months a year, which is what I'm building towards, I'd be pretty content. That would be pretty awesome. Now, that's not millions. That's not even close to 6 figures, right? It's only a little over halfway. Yet I can live what I consider to be a really high quality, awesome lifestyle on that amount of money. And that's doable. That's very doable. And that's the plan. That's what I'm building. That's what I'm doing. So this year I'm working a lot more and I'm making pretty good money so that this year I can buy a house. So next year I should be able to put this into action, which will be pretty incredible. So this plan here I should be able to put into action, and the goal is ideally I'll be able to make that 57 grand after tax, or 58 grand after tax. And that's it. That's all I need to make. So you can do this too. You don't have to use the metrics I made. These are just ones I thought of, And there's other expenses, things can happen in your life. It's always good to have rainy day money, or essentially a bank account you don't touch with however much in it, in case you get sick, in case you lose your job, in case you want to leave your job because you're being treated poorly. Whatever reason, you want to have that rainy day account, which should be, depends who you listen to, but I reckon it should be at least 6 months of your living. And you can't have that tomorrow, but long term, build it up so that you've got about 6 months, right? And you can go about 6 months without having to work if you chose to, because there's power in that. And again, this isn't high minimalism. This isn't like the FIRE movement, which is financially independent, retire early, where I'm saving everything. But this for me seems pretty achievable, right? That's a pretty achievable amount of money, and I am high ending these, right? So I'm probably not actually going to spend 10 grand a year on fun, or $100 a day when I go traveling. They're probably not realistic. But at the same time, this is like a high estimate, right? And this allows me to spend 4 months a year doing absolutely whatever I want, anywhere in the world. That's the beauty of this, because I'm trying to build my freedom. And this is the next milestone on that path for freedom and for abundance. This is that next level that I'm building towards, where I'm up to in my life, where I can have that 57 grand or 58 grand after tax and have 4 months a year that are completely mine to do whatever I want with. That's a really good start. And yeah, that's not by doing anything fancy. That's just by teaching and investing and doing other small things. I mean, you look at it like that. Again, I could throw all these metrics way down. I could throw travel to $50 a day, right? The house works pretty well because I have tenants, but the food, I could eat cheap food. I could cook at home and never eat out. And then education, I could just read books and stuff and not do expensive courses. All of these I could make cheaper. Transport, I could bus it everywhere and not Uber. Yeah, but it depends on what life you want. I'm really evaluating how expensive that life is and how much do you need to fulfill you. This is how much I would need to fulfill me. This would have me pretty happy. I think this would give me a really good balance in my life, right? But for you, that could be different. But I hope it helped seeing a tangible physical example of what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about, you don't need crazy amounts of money, right, in order to live how you want to live. Because if you can live cheap, and I'm not saying 60 grand a year or whatever is cheap, but it's cheap based on how much people think they need to retire and to be successful. So look into that. Look into that yourself. Look into how much you need to spend. Weigh out what is your ideal life and what would that ideal life cost. And you can go way deeper than what I went here, but I just did a kind of rough cut edge version of this. And again, I don't need the nice house or the nice car or the fancy this or the fancy that or the expensive clothes. But if you do need all that, this number's going to skyrocket, right? This number would just shoot right up. And then you could very easily find yourself in the rat race doing work that isn't fulfilling you in order to meet those metrics. But really, it's not easy to make 58 grand a year. You do need skills. You're not going to get that working at McDonald's or something unless you're up in management. But it's very achievable. Most mid-tier careers are going to give you that kind of income. And, not everyone's a travel junkie where they want to spend months a year abroad traveling. So it depends who you are, and only you know that. And only you can figure that out, right? Through coaching or by yourself or however it is you do that. Yeah. So if you gain value from having a look at this, and I hope I'm allowing you to make a couple of shifts in that you don't need to be rich to have a fulfilling life. That's an illusion, and it's often a trap for most people. So live a fulfilling life. Do what it is you want to do. Don't let other people control your life. Don't let other people manipulate you into doing things you don't want to do. And even if that hurts someone, that's too bad, because you have this life to live the way you want to live it. And no one should be telling you, or people can tell you, but you shouldn't always be blindly following other people's advice. It's your life, it's your experience. Make the most of it. Do what you want to do here. If you gain value from this video, give it a like, subscribe to this channel, leave me a comment about what you think. Do you think that my approach to minimalism here is practical? Or do you think I'm not really talking about minimalism because it's still a bit of money? Let me know what you think. And let me know how you would do things. Let me know how much money you would need to live your ideal life. And apart from that, I'll talk to you soon.